What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for tuning in to episode 2, Loki's Effect. So we about to get to this how Donald Trump became the 45th president and how President Obama helped him. Ooh, yeah, we about to go deep. See, Donald Trump became the 45th president January 20th, 2017. And it ended on January 20th, 2021. We entered the season of exposure, but I'm gonna get to that a little bit later. So President Obama was asked to define marriage. And at that time, he said it's a union between a man and a woman. So basically, he was going biblically and, like he said, tradition. But see, what happened was later on in his term, I believe that he was afraid that he wasn't going to retain president. So I watched Bishop Paul Morton, and he talked about that Obama had them and all the mega preachers, and they had came in and they had discussed, some President Obama changing his political views as far as allowing, same-sex marriage. And so, majority of the preachers were actually, saying, "Hey, Mr. President, we'll follow you pretty much whatever you say." Bishop Paul Morton was like, I don't believe that's what you should do. So Obama went ahead and changed that, and so I do have the articles um, that said that and Obama said he supports, abortion rights, putting him at odds with many of evangelical Christians and making it one of his biggest stumbling blocks in winning the vote. That was 8/16/2008. So what happened was when he switched his political views, a lot of Christian or evangelical believers didn't like it. So with him changing, because a lot of times, we see when people do have their political views and they say one thing and then they get in the office and then all of a sudden they change. So when you had that happen and he ended up changing it, a lot of people were like, okay, like how do we go and how do we believe this man for the next time? And so he changed that because sometimes people will say whatever they want just to get in the office, and we see a lot of politicians or people they just say whatever they want just so that they can get in, but do they actually stand with it? So, so with that being said, he switched his political views and allowed, same-sex marriage, and a lot of people had got upset. So what did that do? People were like, you know what, we can't trust him anymore. So when he endorsed Hillary Clinton, they were like, nah, we can't even trust him. And so it allowed President Trump to become the 45th president of the United States. Now, here's the thing that I have with President Trump. You know, if you understand with the Parkland Five. So what that was is in 1989, a young woman was jogging through New York's Central Park and was found in a ravine. She had been viciously beaten and raped and remained in a coma that lasted 12 days, more than a decade later. DNA evidence exonerated the five Harlem teens, imprisoned 4 years after being erroneously convicted of a crime, thanks to Ava, that's her name, a DuVernay series, When They See Us. The story of those teens, now known as the Exonerated Five, has resonated across the country and has drawn attention to issues of injustice in our legal system. So it's actually on the Netflix series as well too, and you also can see Oprah Winfrey presents, When They See Us. So it's about like 1 hour. But understanding that if you watch the series, it's about they got 4 episodes. But here's the thing: these were kids, and you have President Trump at that time has spent $85,000 placing ads in local newspapers. New York Times reporter said they played a key role in shaping the public opinion about the case, to the point they were letting the neighborhood, this is what he said, the neighborhood cop do his job of protecting the community, creating a reckless and dangerously permissive atmosphere which allows criminals of every age to beat and rape and helpless one. He said these muggers and murderers should be forced to suffer when they kill, and they should be executed for their crime. Hmm. That's really deep for him to say all of that. He also said, bring back the death penalty. bring back our police, as if like they wasn't already there, but we know they already were. So on December 19th, 2002, the convictions of the five men were vacated after a man named Martez Riz, whose DNA matched evidence from the crime, confessed to having been responsible. The police department has said it still believes the men were involved in some way in the victim. Now, isn't that interesting that they still believe that the men were involved? And these were kids, 14 years old, that they really really were just to even fathom and think that they would think the kids would do that. But even this woman, Melina, she said that she wishes the case had been brought back to court because she still believes more than one person was responsible. But the city settled with the five in 2014, giving them roughly 1 million for each year spent behind bars. That's, I mean, even the person that actually was prosecuting the case like resigned, you know. And it said, and here's the thing of what President Trump said. He said, former president, these young men did not exactly have the past of angels. But interesting, like the paper said, none of them have been arrested before. So why is it always that they're trying to find some reason to sit here and say when it talking to a person of black or brown that something in their past? But my thing was, how come he could not apologize? Now Trump was going with the Bible as well too. We saw that, but how come he couldn't apologize? See, and this is where I look at it like this: when you can't apologize, it really says a lot about your character. It says a lot about how prideful a person is. Because you could have apologized because they really went through a lot of what they dealt with. What I'm saying, even with this person coming up that actually admitted, and they had DNA evidence. There wasn't no DNA evidence of these kids, saying that are now grown men, that some of them are still dealing with a lot of the trauma and stuff like that. But here's the thing: when Trump became the president of the United States, we entered the season of exposure. And so, what was that? What was that? That was actually showing us how some folks started changing and a lot of more hatred started to come out. I mean, truthfully, like I had one person that, I had made a good, relationship as far as like, getting my vehicle fixed. Long story short, I was in the shop and God told me he wanted me to pay for somebody's tire. Now, when God tells me to do things, I end up doing them and I just do them because I know he's going to bless me. So this one day, God wants me to buy this man a tire. So I end up buying this man a tire, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm thinking maybe $50, $60. But this tire was like 170. So at that time, I was just like, man, like I was gonna put it on my credit card, but I forgot the credit card wasn't working. So the guy at the desk was like, man, why did you do that? I said, look, if God tells me to do things, man, I do them because I know He's gonna bless me. I said, all I know is later on when I come back, I'm gonna show you that there's a blessing that I'm gonna show you what happened. So I ended up, doing that. So I ended up, taking care of that. And the guy was just like, man, he was just like, man, I can't say I don't go to church like I should. He said, I can't say I hear God like you do, but I definitely, saying touched by that. He said, man, let me pay for your oil change. So I was just like, okay, cool, man. So he ended up paying for my oil change, so then he ended up getting his own shop. So I used to always have him, fix some of my things on my vehicle, you know what I'm saying? So cool white dude and everything like that. So then when Trump became, president, it was just like he just like switched, man. He started having like always having attitude and we was having a conversation and he was talking about, when Black Lives Matter was trying to be a movement and he was calling all the black people criminals, savages. I'm just like, yo, that's not cool, man. And he was like, oh, what you agree with the riot? And I was just like, nah, but you shouldn't be saying everybody is like that, man. So, needless to say, we stopped, being cool. I just stopped talking to him because he just kept spewing a lot of hate and everything like that. But that exposed something. And so if we look at, Black Wall Street was actually destroyed, or torn down, burned down, 6/1/1921. But see, here's the interesting thing. So let me first read this. So as a result, so I'm reading from the report. As a result of this attack, 35 blocks were systematically looted. Isn't that interesting? Looted, because they love to put it on black and brown people about looting, but yet they were being looted. So, but as a result of this attack, 35 blocks were systematically looted and burned, destroying 190 businesses and leaving 10,000 people homeless. The property, estimated by the Tulsa Real Estate Exchange, was equivalent of 31 million in 2017, which was likely an underestimation. So that is exactly from the article what I got. But here's the thing: what a lot of people didn't understand was, if you take an ant mound, right? If you tear down an ant mound, what will the ants do? The ants will rebuild. You tear it down again, the ants will rebuild. You tear it down once more, the ants will rebuild. What happened was black people did not rebuild, and guess who rebuilt? Grocery stores. You look at gas stations, Arabs built that. You look at the hair stores, the Asians, rebuilt that. And it's time for Black America to rebuild again. And when I say Black America, I'm talking about blacks, whites, those that do not have a problem with black people or brown people. That's what I'm talking about, because it's still going to take a collective effort with some people. And some people that are white, they actually do get it. So, and you see, if you notice that when Trump became the president of the United States, that there were a lot of, some Asians that actually own hair stores, doing disrespecting, black women and things like that. And we spent a lot of money. It was time for us to remove ourselves, and time for us to put our money back into the community, as we see other ethnicities do that. And so that's what we needed to do. And so I wanted to, bring this point that when the season of exposure happened, it was time for us to rebuild. And so here's another thing. And I want to let you know that what God is about to do, God is about to release a Moses that is going to the world, that is actually going to lead the people, in a way like no other. And he's going to have the influence that Martin Luther King had. He's going to have the influence that Malcolm X had. And he is not going to, watch this, be assassinated like the other leaders. Because you have to understand that every time it's a pandemic, when you talk about a pandemic of people, watch this, there is a leader that is present. Now, think about it. Now, you remember back in the day, right? When they said that we were going to get 40 acres in a mule. We didn't get that. But what if God gave us a season that we were supposed to get that? Think about it. When the stimulus checks came out, that was money that could have been used. When unemployment came out, that was money that could be used. And also, too, we had the PPP loan that came out. Used properly, that was an opportunity for us to do our 40 acres in a mule. Can you imagine if we took that money and purchased land? I remember I went to the car dealership and I had to get my vehicle inspected. And he said he seen $1 million home go for $500,000. So imagine if we knew what that season was, because I saw somebody on TikTok, and he was saying how he got the PPP loan, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna go to jail." He said, "I just want to take my kids to Disney World, Disneyland, and that's all he wanted to do." But imagine if he would have took that money and got his LLC. Imagine if he would have took that money and got certified. He would have been able to write that off in a way that he could have took his kids to Disneyland. But people didn't use it correctly. So like when I got it, all I had to do was 60% of it had to be used towards payroll expenses. But since I was my sole proprietor, so I was able to purchase 1,000 of my books. And then when I had to fill it out, they said, how much do you want to be, forgiven? I was like 100%, saying I had my paperwork in order and everything like that. See, people was able to do that correctly, so I also did have unemployment at that time, but I got my certification in life coaching. I've been doing that for years. I got my LLC. But imagine if we would have took that money and we would have did right with it. Now, some folks did end up, starting their own businesses. Some people became entrepreneurs, and that was a wonderful thing. What I'm saying? But imagine taking that and doing something, with it. And we would did that. would have been a lot. So, like I was saying, that because of what President Obama did, it allowed President Trump to become the president. Because a lot of people they didn't want to vote, and you know they it was an election where people voted a lot when it came to Obama, but then when it came to Trump, what I'm saying, there was people that actually didn't vote because of that. What I'm saying? So it's interesting how, what I'm saying, the choice that Obama made actually allowed Trump to become president of the United States. What I'm saying? And then because of Biden becoming the president, he became the president because a lot of people were just like the lesser of two evils. They just felt like, Biden was a little better than Trump. So it's interesting. I told somebody that I said how Obama, what I'm saying, helped Trump get in office. They couldn't believe that. What I'm saying? But because he changed his political views, it allowed President Trump to become the president. But also, what I'm saying, if we understand that this is the time and the season where it's time for, Black America to rise. And again, when I say Black America, it's not just Black people, it's Black, brown, white, those that are going to come together. What I'm saying? Because we look at George Floyd, and when that situation happened, there was Mennonite people out there protesting, there was Amish people out there protesting, and we got to understand, what I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with protesting peacefully, but there was instances where I saw that they had bricks already at a location. And I remember, some people were saying, they said, well, when we came there, they had some bricks there. What I'm saying? And guess what? The media reported. The reported is like they had it there. So if you come to a location and you see some bricks already there, you see something that, something looks suspect, you need to go home. And so that's what should have been done because the purpose of a protest, thank you, Holy Spirit, the purpose of a protest is to come to an agreement, have information. It's almost like a huddle in football, so we can know which play we need to run. And so that's what, was the purpose of a peaceful protest. And you're always going to have some individuals that are going to do something differently, what I'm saying, even with the Black Lives Matter, what I'm saying, the movement had would have been done correctly, but we see that. But we definitely need effective change. And like I said, also what I will be doing is I do have a change for change. So if you want, you can actually cash at me. And so, like I said, I'm going to be looking at articles. Also, too, is there anything that you want me to discuss? I may come up on that as well too. I will be looking for some individuals to interview on my podcast, and we're going to be talking about some of these things. And so that's what I, want to do. I want to be able to, focus on some of these issues to make it better. So episode one, I talked about how I was able to, make it better for homeless people, also make it better for immigration. So I'm going to do a video and I'm going to put that on TikTok and Facebook as well too. So those that you know that may not have Cash App, Venmo, or anything like that. Like I said, it's going to be the change or change as well too. So you have that right there as well too. If you want to follow me on any of my handles, I greatly appreciate that. So you definitely have, Mr. Encouragement, Mr. Relationships 101. But that's something we're going to be discussing. And so, like I said, I'm going to do this Change for Change campaign where I'm going to be talking about things in the communities of what and how we can make it better. I'm also going to tackle this issue with the police force because, I didn't learn until what I would say maybe last year that the police was instituted, to catch slaves. Now, I've heard about the police, but we wasn't taught that in history. What I'm saying? Even with Martin Luther King, what I'm saying? I found out that they actually, whatever the car insurances was at that time, that they actually said if you were helping black people carpool, that we were going to get rid of you and you're not going to be insured. And that's interesting because now we see it's like it's actually uh, against the law if you don't have, car insurance. So we see that. But those are the things, like I said, I'm going to be talking about and we're going to be discussing. And I just want to thank you for, showing up. Like I said, we're going to tackle some things that are, uncomfortable. Definitely going to tackle this police accountability. We definitely need that. I think the money needs to be um, used properly. We're talking about whether it's defunding or actually taking that money and reallocating it towards, helping out, some of these police officers, because, the way that they handle things is really not, you know, it's really not beneficial for, America. Like we look at, what I'm saying, they say the land of the free, what I'm saying, the home of the brave, what I'm saying, these people have, what I'm saying, sworn to protect us. Just like, who are you going, to protect? And so also too, like I said, I do have my website up as well too, if you want a copy of my book, The Desired Merit. It is also available, so I can send that out to you as well too. I do have Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Zelle, so that would be there as well too. If you want to log on my website, www.lokey, that's LOKEY Enterprises, Enterprises 4.com. You can log on to my website, and if you want to do that, you can actually fill out the information. Also, too, if you just want to get a copy of my book directly from Amazon, you may do that at amzn.to/free, lowercase u, lowercase t, uppercase s, lowercase e, uppercase B, lowercase m. So you can do that as well too. So it's definitely something. But also, like I said, we're going to touch on some of these things. Be looking out. I am going to have some shorts that I'm going to show on TikTok. I'm actually going to institute a little something. So, Captain America is like my favorite character. So I'm going to play that role, and I'm going to show a few things of what America can do. So I definitely want to thank you for tuning in, for watching out. This is episode 2. So they will be coming out, every Sunday and Wednesday. So I'm going to post that as well too. You should, wherever you find out your podcast, you can go in there and watch it. But I will be doing a lot of them live as well too. Like I said, I'm going to have some guests. We're going to interview, so we're definitely going to be coming up. And if you have any topics, please don't hesitate to let me know. Like I said, we're going to pick on some topics that we can talk about and discuss those things, so that we can come together as a people and they can be better. So I want to thank you for, again, tuning in. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. God bless.